always look on the bright side of life, my friends. This is why we're here today, back with Mark Taffler, Commercial Director of Hub88 and Bombay. How's it going, Mark?
It's going really well. Yeah, good morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good morning, my friend. And always great to have you back here on the podcast. And, today, Mark, we're talking a little bit about the pivot that Bombay Live is going through at the moment, rebranding itself to Live88. So obviously Bombay Live is a prominent live studio that we have in the industry. Can you talk about why you are conducting this rebrand now into Live88?
Yeah, of course. I think, who is it that there was a quote? You'll know who it was better than I, but I think someone said if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will always be stupid, right?
Jesus Christ.
Maybe it was. I'm not sure.
I think it was Jesus.
Then kudos to Jesus for that one. But I think the reason that I use that as like an opening and analogy is because what we're trying to do, Bombay Live was and still is. It's a tremendous product. However, its positioning within the market is such that it's positioned as a high value player live dealer. And the reality of that is that's not our choice. We can't, we're not in an industry whereby we sell, Patek Philippe watches and they're, $1 million a watch and okay, I know what it is and I'm going to pay. We're in a shop, which is the casino lobby, and the players that play, it's up to them what they spend on it, right? So Bombay was a brilliant entry for us into the market. But what we've done during its 2.5 year tenure as a brand is learn a huge amount about what the market wants. And I think for us, this has got very little to do with what we want to do. It's everything to do with what feedback we've received from customers. So when you've got, like, if you look at a slot game, you can, you talk about a rebrand, you just do a skin. Then you've got a repurpose, whereby you might change a couple of the mechanics, but the engine's the same. And then you've got a fully different slot. So there's kind of those three layers. For us with Live88, it's almost towards the fully brand new proposition. So we're not just putting a new sticker on the front of Bombay Live. We're creating something completely different. And that's massively exciting.
Exciting for sure. So you've obviously dipped your toes now into live for many years, and you experimented with the product, and now you are kind of taking this next step in the journey. What have you learned along the way? I mean, live is hard, right? Like, what are the hardest parts of making a live product work and turn profit and so on?
You're right. Live is a very hard vertical in our industry, and massive respect to anybody who takes it on. There's some very good live studios out there. Winfinity, On Air. Prague have got their own live one. I'm not purposefully ignoring Evo, but they're the godfathers of it. But it's really hard. But I don't. Having a studio, employing the right dealers, okay, that's hard. Keeping it running technically is hard. But I think what's hardest for a challenger brand, if you will, is being able to have a conversation with the CEO of a casino that takes 90% of their live revenues from one supplier and explaining to them why it might be a good idea for them to maybe de-risk slightly and look at an alternative option. That's the hard part. Because if I own a shop and I make 90% of my money from one thing and someone walks in and goes, "Hi, I have this other thing for you," then I'm not going to be so willing to even hear what they have to say. It's a challenging market. But why are we doing it? So, as you know, us as a business, quite a lot of our activity happens out in the East. And even from a branding perspective, the brand name Bombay, it didn't resonate well with players. So there has to be we have to listen. We can't dictate. We have to listen to casinos. We've got two layers of customer. The B2B is our customer, but the B2C is also our customer because they're the players. We have to give our players what they want. So we listened, and the important thing is that Bombay as a brand name, it wasn't working in some of our key markets, and that's fine. It's just like if you look back at Vauxhall. Vauxhall wanted to launch the Nova in Spain when they first, bought out Vauxhall, the car brand. Nova in Spanish means no go. Right? So you're not going to launch a car in Spain. Welcome, the brand new no go. No, I don't think I'll buy that. So you have to have cultural sensitivities when you're dealing internationally in business, right? So we've learned that, and that's why we're bringing out Live88. But what is it? It's not just a new look and feel. It is a new look and feel, but it's not just that. I would never sit here and say that we want to compete with anybody, because I think the day that you start wanting to compete with somebody, you lose focus on what your core proposition is. We just have to do what we do extremely well, and then the growth will follow that. However, if you look at the live dealer space right now, it's quite homogenized, really, right? There's a base of games. Everyone's got baccarat, blackjack, roulette. You can't scale blackjack, so you've got to have lots of blackjacks. There might be, now that you've got the game shows and the lightning games and etc., etc. We're giving entertainment to players with all this. That's the important thing. So from a product perspective, the games themselves, in and of themselves, you have to have a core stock of the games in order to be able to come to market regardless. But it's all the same out there, realistically. It's just one different flavour, different this, different that. So what we're actually doing is bringing something fundamentally different to the table. We want, and our insight and our research tells us that people want communities. If you look at where the industry is now going as a whole, social casinos, sweepstake casinos, crypto casinos, the demographic of players playing now on online aren't me. They're not a middle-aged man, right, who just wants to play his 2 slots, and slam them, until he loses all his money and goes to bed grumpy. It's not that, right? The consumers are a lot more clever these days. They want entertainment. They want to be entertained. And how does that entertainment come in? So firstly, we looked at the product, the proposition. The studios need to look nicer. They need to be fun. The dealers need to have a more flexible approach. They don't need to stay, like they would be in Les Ambassadeurs. Yes sir, no sir, here's your cards. It's more, right, come on gang, who's up next? Oh look, you've just beat me, amazing. Because that's what people want. They want to be entertained. Like we've done research. We've got a massive pool of data, and this is billions and billions of spins and billions of different individual UAPs over the course of a period of time. Players play on average 5.2 slots on one casino. 5.2. Yeah, there's 40,000 slots.
Exactly.
Right.
And those 4 games tend to be kind of the same, or like
Always.
there's some crossover. Yeah.
Always the same, And with Live Dealer, one player will invariably play 2 different games in a session. So again, the innate desire is for more. It's a human condition. More. We need more.
Right.
And I think video slots were the first ones to ever do this, where they wanted to have every single game you could possibly have.
Right. The biggest casino in the world was their tagline.
And it's brilliant, right? It's a good USP because, our industry is about gaining trust and garnering people's belief in that casino. And, well, if you've got everything, you must be trustworthy. But when then you come and break it down to its more component parts, what do you want? What does the player want? The player wants to be entertained. They want to take their $20 and they want to have an amazing time, and they want to try and turn it into $20,000. So we have to serve the product which enables them to enjoy themselves whilst they're trying to do it. So the product itself will look and feel brighter, cleaner, more engaging. A lot of the Live Dealer products are dark. They look dark because they're trying to recreate that kind of VIP land-based feel to them. So Live88, even in and of itself, it's a live. Yeah. Color scheme will be a lot brighter, but more importantly, if you were one of my partners that I am trying to educate about Live88, I'd be saying to you, what do you want? What do you want from a live dealer proposition? And we've had these conversations, and the feedback is flexibility. We want to be able to make it do what we want to do. We want to be able to have live blackjack with no click fees, low stakes. We want to be able to have super high stakes. We want to be able to have, it look like we want to look like. We want a lobby. We don't want a lobby. So I think gone are the days where there's a diktat that if you're going to take a live dealer proposition, it has to look like this. So what we're coming to the table with Live88 is we're saying, here's our baseline proposition. It looks very different. How do you want it to look even more different? If you just want 3 games to sit in your top row that don't link to a lobby, absolutely no problems at all. Mm-hmm. If you are a casino who faces Asian markets and you wish for this to look more realistically Asian facing, we can give you that too. So what we're really bringing here is a very customizable, very premium live dealer proposition that doesn't argue and compete upon the same old things. No, you've got to pay extra for language tables. No, you've got to do this. No, you've got to do that. No, this is, what do you want? Here you go and have fun with it.
Out with the old in with the new.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. And you are launching a game show as well, right? Royal Riches, that has some pretty interesting mechanics. Can you talk about that?
Honestly, Pierre, I can only ever be honest, and I have regrettably, I think, I have a level of cynicism about the commercial benefits of game shows. I think that in the live dealer space, if you were to just put your blackjack tables at very low stakes with no click fees, you would generate the same level of acquisition income as a game show. But that's by the by. So our tech team, our devs, our designers, they said, no, just be quiet. This is we had a demo the other day. Yeah. Wow. I don't get this passionate about stuff anymore because, yeah. It's amazing. So Royal Riches Roulette is its kind of parent name. Triple R.
Right, so roulette based.
It's a roulette based game, right? And so you're playing the game, okay? And in the background, you'll place your bets and there'll be multipliers, right? Pretty standard. Multipliers are, generically created. You don't know what the multi is going to be until you've placed your bet. On top of that, the other layer is that you get these keys, these suits. So you got your normal 4 suits. So you'll place your bet on the straights. You'll win your multiplier. And then on top of that, you'll get a suit card given to you. When you've collected all 4 suits, you go into a bonus round. And the animations are mental. Like the keys, they come and it flies off into the separate bonus round. And in this bonus round, you then have the opportunity to unlock boxes with your keys, which all contain multipliers. Right. If you are not someone who's won the bonus round, because it's obviously all happening in real time, yeah. So you still end up in the bonus round watching. You can still join in, and you can place bets on the boxes as well. But it's really cool, really, really cool.
Amazing. When are you looking to launch?
Launch date is the 16th of May.
Oh, I know that date.
Why would you know that date?
Yeah, that happens to be next Valletta.
Then that, is why we're choosing that date, because of next Valletta. Exactly that.
I like it. It. So you will be presenting the news, let's say, during next Valletta on the 15th, 16th May.
Well, thanks to you and to your team. As obviously we're part of that closing party. We're actually having this really fun event at the closing party at Palazzo Parisio, whereby there'll be an area and everybody will be given some ton coin, which is the Telegram crypto. They'll be able to play on Whale, which is our crypto casino.
Right.
And they'll be able to play Raw Riches there at the party, etc. So it'll be really engaging and fun. And I think that's the important thing, because this is about building an engaging product.
Yeah. Now that the cat is out of the bag, we will need to get extra security, I think, for the door, Mark. Yeah, we spoiled the surprise now. I think we need to cut that in the back.
Yeah. Let's just drip feed it a couple of days before.
Yeah, exactly. Earlier you mentioned the incumbent in the live sector. Evolution obviously owns most of the markets in live today in the industry. And can you go more into detail? Like, how do you compete against that? Because you mentioned, you go into the shop and the shop owner earns 90% of revenue from one particular supplier. It's not easy, and the supplier has kind of established themselves over the year for being a reliable supplier, like so on and so forth. The players trust it and all of that. Like, how do you break through that? Because because Todd was on the podcast a while ago, and he talked just about that if you're a Coca-Cola, it's difficult to compete against Coca-Cola, even if you have a product that is really good. Can you talk to that a little bit and
definitely
go into detail?
And I'll give you a very, very prominent example. In the sporting world, there is a brand called Castore, and they are a kit manufacturer of sports goods products, and they're 3 years old as a business. They're already doing 100 million a year EBIT. They've just taken in 250 million investment to grow. Their main competitors are Nike and Adidas, right? They were set up in a bedroom by two brothers from Liverpool whom saw what Nike and Adidas weren't doing well. I mean, it's audacious, right?
Yeah.
But
to say the least.
But now Castore, they just launched the very first haptic football shirt, meaning that haptic feedback that you get on your
it's buses.
Yeah, for deaf people. So they launched it at Newcastle United. They make the shirt for Newcastle United, and they launched it at the game last week, so that deaf fans can feel the atmosphere when the crowd cheer.
Oh wow, that's incredible,
right? I mean, that for me, that's
what a product. Yeah.
That's goosebump stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But my roundabout point is that they're not competing on just do it and having Jordan and having the best athletes. What they're doing is they're looking at the areas that Nike and Adidas are unable to do well because of their size. Evolution are amazing. That's not even in question. Todd is unbelievable. Genius levels, right? Their product is brilliant. That's taken as read. You have to compete on different things. And this is what I was talking about before. The one thing when you are the size that someone who's is a number one incumbent is, that your flexibility goes a bit, right? You can't do the flexible things because you've got processes in place to ensure that your army of people know what's going on. But we can. So if you want something to be different, it can be. The baseline is, does the product look as good as, if not better than the incumbent? And then the answer is yes. How are the commercials? They're always going to be there or thereabouts, But if my customer is the person who places games on the site, that's not necessarily the CFO, right, who's looking at the bottom line, because, we don't want to get into price wars.
No, race to the bottom.
100%. But my key person is the person who decides where the thumbnail goes in the lobby. And I want to ask that person, what would make you? And they might say, well, do you know what? I actually don't want a lobby, because I don't want people going back into that ecosystem when they've come out of one game. I want them to come back into my lobby. Okay, then that's fine. I want, I want Turkish language. I want this language. I want the other language. But it's about the flexibility, and I think us as a business, we have the ability to offer this customizable, engaging proposition. And I think going forward with the product, there are some unbelievable plans with it. So if you look at live spins, for example, there's what's Carolina's business?
Beyond Play.
Beyond Play. These businesses are, for me, tremendous examples of innovation in an industry which struggles to innovate. But because they're trying to speak to the community aspect. Now, we could have a whole separate conversation about how much people really want to gamble in communities, but that's a different piece. But from our side, what we're going to be doing is being able to, for people can share their clips, their wins on social media.
Yeah, because that was another aspect here, right? The community aspect and the inclusivity of Live88. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, of course. And I think the key here is what you don't want to be doing is force feeding people into doing stuff. People want to gamble their own way, but in the round, if you're sat at a table at roulette in a land-based casino, dependent upon which casino and the crowd that you're with, it's fun. Oh, well done. You hit again. Congratulations. That's the conversation. The dealer might be like, oh, well done. Unlucky, blah, blah, blah. You can't translate that emotional experience into online. But because nowadays people that are starting to play these games live online, they want that community. If you look at the skins trading sites, you look at the GG sites, clash sites, poker sites, it's the elements in it that make it fun. And it's never the big things. It's the ants, not the elephants, And with this, it's the ability to talk directly to the dealer, maybe, for the dealer to talk directly to you. Not just welcome Pierre 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the game. It's, wow, nice one, Pierre. You're bossing it, You're going to be sat at the end in your computer. You're like, yeah, I am bossing it, actually. I'm going to stake up, I'm enjoying myself. So the stuff like sharing your wins, and we've seen how well some casinos use social media to share the excitement of big wins. If you win big, or if the dealer does something funny, you can literally share that to your socials there and then, which I think is genius, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's with the times, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it seems to be an interesting trend that's taking place too, where the gambling experience 10 years ago was, you definitely did not want to share that you were kind of gambling online, so to say. But it seems to be, just an observation, it seems that it's kind of entering more the mainstream through the streaming phenomena and so on, that people actually want to share their wins these days.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that we probably have got to a stage where we don't ever need to keep caveating the definite need for responsible gambling. That's taken as read, and that should be, the disclaimer on every conversation it's ever had. Yeah. We don't want to promote anything other than entertainment. Yeah. Entertainment, fun, enjoyment, community, sharing. Yeah. That's the B2C narrative. B2B, it's dear casino owner, casino manager, CEO, CFO, what do you want this product to do for you? Yeah. Tell me. And we have the ability to be as flexible as possible to make it do that.
Final question for you today, Mark. I think it's undisputed to say that Yolo is the most dynamic, fast-paced, not scared of change, get shit done type of company that there is in the industry and possibly beyond. How is it to work for such a fast-paced and dynamic business that isn't scared of change?
You could edit this out or not, but I fucking love it. Like, you can bleep it or whatever you want, but that's my honest emotional response. I've never in my life worked somewhere so cool. And what does that mean? Funny, we were just literally having a conversation in the kitchen, me and a couple of colleagues before this, but we were just getting a coffee. It's the first place any of us have ever worked where what you do has a direct impact. You get given ownership of your stuff. you are able to make changes, positive changes on a daily basis. And the mantra is such that we are there to serve our customers' needs. And when you go into things with that approach, a whole world of opportunities emerge. If you're working somewhere where, no, everything's about EBIT, everything's about this, you can't do this, you can't do that, people get disheartened, they get demotivated and stuff. With our business and our leadership, whom are so unbelievably dynamic, that go out and do things that I didn't even think were doable, and then humbly explain what they've done to the business, all it does is empowers us to go out and do the same, to ask the questions, to solve the problems. And that's all we are. Like the commercial team that I look after, we're problem solvers. What's your problems today, Mr. Customer, Miss Customer, you know, Mrs. CEO, Mrs. Owner of the business, Mr. This, that. What do you need? You know, and we're not talking, I want 0.5% off of something. No, that's not a problem that needs to be solved. Really, what do you need? Let's bring it back into our business and let's help support you, you know? And you ask those questions and you ask them in the right way regularly enough. The opportunities that open themselves up are unbelievably exciting. So, yeah, I mean, what a place.
What a place. And Mark, if I may add something to the argument before of how do you compete against the incumbent, I would also say that you need an extremely strong commercial director. So thank you so much, Mark, for coming aboard today. Always a great pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure to see you. Thanks so much, Pierre.
Awesome, man.